Realtree's Midwest Whitetail is brought to you by Hoyt, Heumann Tree Saws, Lone Wolf Tree Stands, Nikon, Ozonics, Redneck Blinds, RTP Outdoors, Spot Hog Releases, Wasp Archery, Viking Solutions, and Realtree.
So tonight the temperature's dipping down. I didn't expect to be hunting. There's that big typical that lives in that really small area, and we got a perfect wind for him, and it does cool off enough to give him a shot. So I call him the King Buck or Cooper or Mitch, so kind of got three names for him. But he's a big typical, and he's the one that I tried one other time and the coyotes bumped him off. So we're gonna try it on the other side of this tiny little draw that he lives in and comes out of. And I know his core area. I've stayed out of there all the time, and I'm going to continue to really stay out of there and fundamentally keep very little pressure on him. So we're going to give him a whirl, and then a couple things we'll talk about tonight are quote-unquote the October lull, what it really means, what I think it means, and what the impact of it is. And I'll just dive into that a little bit more, and then I've had a few people talk to me about that lately. And then the other thing is what are the deer eating now into November? And then I expect that hopefully we'll see some good deer tonight. If we could see that giant typical, it'd be fantastic. But if anything, this is a fun little spot to hunt, easy to get into, and there's a lot of deer in here. Reasons I like hunting this spot. It's really easy to get into, and even though the day is probably too nice, I've stayed out of this spot, and there's deer that live in this tiny little draw, and that's really all I'm hunting, and it's been this way forever. It's just it's a tiny little draw, and it's got three different types of food around it, and then I've got corn and beans that I planted as well. So it's got every food source. It's unpressured, and it's really easy to access. So that's why I like this spot, and I think the action's going to be really good tonight. So another topic that a lot of people have talked about is the October lull, quote unquote October lull. So I always ask, well, what do you mean by October lull? And a lot of times they'll say, well, the big bucks don't move. So here's my opinion on that. I think that it's definitely slow in October, even in Iowa. When I lived in Michigan and things were extremely overpressured, there was almost to the point essentially of there wasn't even a point in hunting. So I definitely think it's slower. So what I would say is this, is if you can find a mature buck that is not extremely pressured and you can get them on a pattern, they're not traveling very far, so they're just going bedding to food. Talking to some buddies today, they were throwing around what they thought deer might or might not be feeding on right now. So here's my opinion on that. There's three of the most desirable things right now. One being cut corn. If you can find a combine field that's maybe sat for a couple days, a deer will come in and clean that up until every last kernel is out. So that might be my number one. Now, we don't have that down here right now because everything's a swamp. And right here, it'll be a while before we're able to combine. So that's out of the question. The second thing is acorns. There's still a few acorns dropping, mainly reds, but not a ton. And most of the whites are cleaned out. So that'd be another really desirable one. And I've got so much forest on my other place that it's really hard to pinpoint them in the acorns. Here, this is just a low draw, and acorns aren't what we're going for. So the main one that I would focus on right now into November, the third one would be green food sources. And right here, I've got some brassicas, big and beastie, and then I've got some clover and alfalfa, and then I've got a rye mix, which is an autumn quick plot that I planted with a lot of different things in it. So there's actually three things planted here, And anything green, I would say, is really, really desirable this time of year for food. So cut corn, green, and acorns. And the things that are not going to be desirable would be like yellowing soybeans. Until they really get dried down and it gets really cold, they're not going to do a whole lot. And for me personally, I'm not focused on food so much in November during the rut. I just want to know where the does are feeding at, but through November it'll generally be green food sources, maybe a freshly cut cornfield, and you know, I really don't have a whole lot of success on soybeans until it gets really late in the year and super, super cold. So that's just my opinion, and that's just what I'm seeing right now. So I think we're gonna wrap tonight up. I probably got 20 minutes of shooting light left, and we'll sit till it's dark. I think it's gonna be warm here, so I'm just gonna take some days off. I feel like I got my fill. A lot of fun sitting out here, a lot of bucks. They're definitely feeding on the greens, mainly like I thought they would. So it was really fun to hunt. But now I'm gonna just give it a break and wait till it gets real cold, and you know, counting it down. We're a couple weeks out from really good action too, so I'll pop in here when it gets really cold. But yeah, tonight I think we're gonna call it, and definitely if you got one on a green food source or any kind of a pattern, I'd do it if the wind's right and the temperature's right. But so yeah, I'd say I'm just gonna wait until I've either got something on a pattern or it gets real cold again. But for a little while I'm gonna let my stuff settle down and not overpressure or anything. So a few more deer walking out right now, but we'll get back into the tree when it makes a lot of sense and count down till it gets great.